Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are journeying back in time to ancient Japan to uncover the epic story of one of history's most iconic warriors, the samurai. When you hear the word samurai, what comes to mind? Probably a lone warrior with a katana, clad in intricate armor, living by a strict code of honor. And while that's part of the picture, the true history of the samurai is so much richer and more complex. It's a story that spans over 1,000 years, filled with political intrigue, epic battles, and profound cultural shifts. So, grab a seat, and let's dive into the rise and fall of the legendary samurai. Our story begins not with swords, but with bows and arrows, and not with lords, but with servants. The word samurai itself originally meant those who serve. In the Heian period, from about the 8th to the 12th century, Japan's central government in Kyoto was losing its grip on the countryside. Wealthy landowners and powerful clans needed protection for their estates, so they started hiring skilled warriors. These early fighters were primarily mounted archers, masters of the yabasami, the art of shooting from horseback. They weren't the noble, philosophical warriors we often imagine yet. They were practical, skilled protectors, loyal to the provincial lords who paid them. Their job was to guard land, collect taxes, and put down rebellions. Think of them less as knights in shining armor and more as highly effective security for a sprawling, decentralized country. The game completely changed in the late 12th century. Two of the most powerful samurai clans, the Taira and the Mina, clashed in a massive civil war known as the Genpei War. This wasn't just a small skirmish. It was a nationwide conflict that would redefine Japan's entire power structure. After years of brutal fighting, the Minamata clan, led by the brilliant strategist Minamata no Yoritomo, emerged victorious. Instead of just returning to the old imperial system, Yoritomo did something radical. In 1192, he established the first shogunate, a military government, in a city called Kamakura. The emperor was still the divine figurehead in Kyoto, but the real power was now in the hands of the shogun, the top samurai. This marked the beginning of nearly 700 years of samurai rule in Japan. The samurai were no longer just servants. They were the new ruling class. With this new status came a new culture and a new set of ideals. This is when we start to see the development of Bushido, or the way of the warrior. Now, it's important to know that Bushido wasn't a single written book of rules back then. It was an evolving set of moral principles passed down through generations. It emphasized virtues like loyalty to one's lord, courage in the face of death, integrity, and self. The sword, especially the katana, also gained immense symbolic importance. It wasn't just a weapon, it was considered the soul of the samurai. The craftsmanship of these blades was unparalleled, with swordsmiths revered as master artisans. The samurai swords were a reflection of his honor and his status in society. This period, from the 12th to the 16th century, was the golden age of the samurai as warriors. But peace was often fleeting. By the mid-15th century, the shogun's power had weakened, and Japan descended into a century of chaos known as the Sengoku period, or the age of warring states. The country shattered into dozens of independent domains, each ruled by a powerful warlord called a daimyo. Every daimyo was vying for control, leading to constant, relentless warfare. This era was the ultimate test of the samurai. It was a time of legendary figures like Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi, Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa, Ieyasu, three great unifiers who would eventually bring Japan back together. The nature of warfare also changed dramatically. Large armies of ashigaru, or foot soldiers, became more prominent, and in the mid-16th century, firearms introduced by Portuguese traders began to revolutionize the battlefield. The samurai had to adapt or perish. Finally, after a decisive victory at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu unified Japan and established the Tokugawa Shogunate. This ushered in the Edo period, a time of unprecedented peace and stability that would last for over 250 years. So what happens to a warrior class when there are no more wars to fight? The samurai had to reinvent themselves. They transitioned from being warriors to being bureaucrats, administrators, scholars, and poets. They were still the top of the social hierarchy, but their role had fundamentally changed. Their swords became more ceremonial than functional. Bushido also evolved during this time. It became more philosophical and codified, heavily influenced by Confucianism and Zen Buddhism. Thinkers like Yamaga Soko wrote extensively about the way of the warrior, shaping the idealized image of the samurai that we are so familiar with today. The peaceful warrior poet image largely comes from this era. But this long peace couldn't last forever. In 1853, everything changed when American Commodore Matthew Perry sailed his black ships into Edo Bay. Armed with advanced naval technology, Perry demanded that Japan open its borders to international trade. This event sent shockwaves through the nation, exposing how far behind Japan had fallen technologically. The shogunate's inability to stand up to the foreign powers caused a massive loss of face. Many samurai, particularly from the southern domains of Satsuma and Choshu, felt that the shogunate had failed in its duty to protect Japan. They rallied around the cry Sana Joy, meaning revere the emperor, expel the barbarians. A fierce internal conflict erupted between those loyal to the shogunate and those who wanted to restore direct imperial rule. This turmoil culminated in the Meiji Restoration of 1868. The young Emperor Meiji was restored to power, and the shogunate was abolished. The new government was determined to modernize Japan rapidly to compete with the Western powers, and for a new, modern nation, a feudal warrior class was seen as an obstacle. The new government began dismantling the samurai system piece by piece. In the 1870s, the daimyo were stripped of their lands. The samurai had their stipends converted into government bonds, and a modern conscript army, open to all social classes, was created. The final blow came in 1876, when the government banned the public wearing of swords, the ultimate symbol of samurai status. For the first time in centuries, the samurai were no longer a special class. Some samurai tried to resist. The most famous of these was the Satsuma Rebellion in 1877, led by Sago, often called the last true samurai. Sago led a small army of traditionalist samurai against the new imperial army. Despite their incredible skill and courage, they were ultimately defeated by the modern army's superior numbers and firepower. The rebellion's failure marked the definitive end of the samurai as a military and political force. The age of the warrior was over. But the story doesn't end there. Though the samurai class was abolished, their legacy endured. Many former samurai became leaders in the new Meiji government, in business, education, and the military. Their values, codified as Bushido, were adopted and promoted as the core ethics for the entire Japanese nation, shaping its culture right up to the modern day. The ideals of discipline, loyalty, honor, and perseverance became deeply ingrained in Japanese society. The image of the samurai continues to fascinate people all over the world, inspiring countless movies, books, and anime. They are a timeless symbol of discipline, honor, and the quiet strength of the warrior spirit, from humble provincial guards to the rulers of a nation, and finally, to a cherished cultural icon. The journey of the samurai is a powerful testament to the ever-changing tides of history. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of the samurai. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the past. Let me know in the comments what historical topic you'd like to see next. Until then, stay curious.